Hello, thank you so much for joining me in this training today. Today we're going to be going through the job snapshot from the job detail page. So I'm going to go through with you all of the dates that you will be entering in as you go through the production process, and your progress level as you enter in those dates, how your progress levels will move forward. So we are just going to scroll down a little bit. We're going to locate job snapshot, and we're going to click anywhere on this blue toolbar, and it's going to open up our dates and times. Now, if you notice, starting with the first two, the date of loss and the date received, those two dates and times are going to be automatically populated to the date and time that the loss is entered into the system. So if your date of loss is different than the date that you actually received it, then you will want to make sure that you go ahead and update that information so that it is as accurate as possible in the system. Okay? Your new lead, of course, is going to always come across as a new lead. Now, what we're going to look at is our date contacted. This is our first date that's going to push our progress level forward, okay? So we are going to click on our calendar icon. Let's say we contacted them today. Well, when I click on that date, I then receive this pop-up. Would you like to update the progress to customer contacted? I'm going to click on OK, and it's going to automatically update my progress level to customer contacted. Now, if I want to enter in a time, I can do that as well. The time, I always say, yes, it's important that the time be as accurate as possible, but if you're just going through it and entering in the dates and you just need to, kind of go through, you can not enter in a date and it's just going to default to the time that you are putting it in, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, I want to make sure that I always click on save, okay? I'm not going to click on save every time as we're going through these dates just for time purposes, but you want to make sure that anytime you do update, you always click on save right here so that it updates this information, okay? Now, let's say we're going through and we are now ready to move on to site inspection appointment, okay? So now the file has been passed off to the estimator, the technician, whoever it is that inspects the site. And we are now going to enter in the site inspection appointment. So we are going to enter in the date that the inspection is scheduled. Okay, so let's say we have the inspection scheduled for tomorrow. Well, we're going to go ahead and click on the date and the time. Now I want to make sure that I enter in an end date. Okay, this is just an estimated end date. Okay, I'm going to put in a different date here, okay? But this is an estimated end date, okay? So let's say we're doing the inspection for hail damage. Typically a roof inspection might take up to 2 hours depending on the damage, whatever the case might be. You just want to make sure that you give yourself some time. So the reason you have to do this is in order to save this progress level, you have to make sure that both the start and the end fields are populated. So let's say we are starting at 1:30, but let's say we want to be done by 3. Well, then I need to make sure that I'm entering in my name as the person inspecting the loss. Okay? So I'm going to now click on Save. It might take it just a second, but it will eventually come through and it will tell you the save has been completed successfully. Okay? So now what we want to do is move on to site inspected. This is going to be our next progress level. Okay, so let's say we actually completed the site inspection. Well, this is where we're going to enter in the accurate end date and time for the site inspection. So let's say we did end on the 8th. Now it's going to ask me, would you like to update the progress to job inspected? I'm going to click on OK because yes, I've completed my inspection and it's done. And then I can enter in my time. Depending on how long it took me, this is my actual accurate inspection end time. Okay, now my progress level has moved to job inspected. Well, now we're moving on to estimate delivered. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we enter in this date for the date that the estimate was sent to the adjuster or whoever it is that needs to approve of that estimate. Okay, so we'll say that the date has been entered in. It's going to ask us, would you like to update the progress to estimate pending? Or whatever your progress levels are. You might have different verbiage in your progress levels, but the whole process is the same. So we're going to click on OK because we want to move that progress level forward. Well, now we're looking at estimate approved. So the adjuster has called and said, yes, I approve this estimate, go ahead and get started. Okay? So we want to go ahead and say that, yes, this estimate has been approved. This is not a progress level change. Okay? So this does not change your progress level at this point. Unless you want to manually move it forward, then you do not need to do anything but enter in the date and click Save. The next step is to get your work authorization or your contract signed, stating that the customer is okay with the estimate and they have given you permission to do the work to their home. So we want to make sure that we record this date. Okay, so we're going to record this date. It's now going to ask us, would you like to update the progress to approved, not started? Basically, this is saying our progress levels, yes, our estimate has been approved, the work authorization has been signed, we just have not started the work yet. So we're going to click on OK. Well, now we're going to move to the right-hand side. Okay, we're going to start with target start date. This needs to be entered in just as a, again, goal. This is when we plan to start the work. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come into here. Let's say we plan to start the work on the 10th. Would you like to update the progress to in production? Now, this is where it gets tricky. Because you are entering in a target start date, we don't want to actually move the job progress to in production. Okay, so we're going to click on cancel at this point, unless you feel that this is necessary to move it into production. Okay, go ahead and enter in our target start and our target completion. Let's say we want to hope to have this done by that Tuesday. Okay, we're going to hope to have it done within just a few days. Well, now I'm going to come in, work start date and end date. This is asking me, when did we actually start the work? Okay, so when did that first hammer swing? So we're going to come in here and let's say the work actually did start on the 10th. Well, now it's going to ask me again, would you like to update the progress to in production? I'm going to go ahead and click on OK because yes, my work has started. I want this to be in production. Okay, now before I am able to save this information, I also again have to enter in an estimated end date. So let's say we want to have this done by, or let's say we are going to have this done here. Okay, so we're going to enter in our dates and our times. Now at this point I can go ahead and click on save and it's going to save my dates, and you know, at this point we can move forward. Now if the end date changes, we do not update it in this field until we have actually completed the work. If anything happens on the target completion, we edit it here. So let's say we've gone past the 15th. Well, now we're saying this might take us until the 17th to fix. I'm going to update that target completion until I've actually completed the job. Okay, so let's say we actually complete the job on the 18th. We have to go back in. We get it finally finished on the 18th and it's done. It's ready to be moved on to the accounting department. Well, at this point, if I want to make a manual move, there is no progress level that is attached to end date. So if I want to make a manual move to work completed, then I can do so. This is stating that the actual physical work is complete and I have moved it on to the accounting department. So we can click on save, and now this is now this is the progress level. Again, you will have to do this manually because there is no automatic progress level with the end date. Now, if you notice right here, it shows drying started and drying completed. These two areas are here because if this is a water job and you're actually doing a water extraction, you're still going to enter in all of these dates over here. However, instead of using target start and work start, we're going to use drying started and drying completed. So just keep that in mind. This is for water loss and water extraction only. Now we're going to move down here and we're going to look at job completed. Okay, now we want to go ahead and enter in our date for job completed for the date that we actually finished the job. Again, there is no progress level change with this. Okay, now as the time goes on and your accounting department receives the folder, the only dates left are date closed and job not sold. Of course, right now we're going to look at date closed. This date is going to be entered in when the job is paid in full and everything is done. So at this point, when your accounting department receives it, they might want to manually move the progress level to invoiced or perhaps collections. Let's say this is a file that's been going on forever and ever and ever, and we've now moved it onto a collection agency, we can move it to collections. Okay, now once everything is completed and I enter in my date closed, I'm then going to be asked if I want to move it to paid in full as my progress level. Well, at this point, if everything is done, if I have paid in full and the job is complete, I want to go ahead and click on OK. At that point, it's going to open up a determination box for me. Basically, this is just asking me what was the final determination. So we can say, you know, completed, this job is completed to customer satisfaction. If you have another issue, refused job, we have decided not to take the job, whatever the case might be, you can do job completed. So we could just say job completed, everything's done. Okay, at this point I can click on close, and I'm now going to close my job out in the system completely. It says all unclosed work orders have been closed using the selected date close. So if you close out your job and you haven't closed out your work orders, they will close based on the date that you have closed the job. Now, if you have any questions while you're going through this process, or if you have any questions about the verbiage of your progress levels and your dates, please feel free to reach out to your direct trainer, whether it be myself, my name is Whitney Hawkins, or Lisa Paris or Don Bryant. We're always here to help you. There is also a document in your university that will help you with going through your progress levels and your dates and times underneath your training documents, and then estimator and project manager. You will find the PDF file that will go through your job progress levels and your job snapshot. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me in this training today. I hope that you have a wonderful day.